Hey everybody, I'm back again, Cory Ballad with another video. It's going to be a recap video over an Unsung on Vesta Williams. Go ahead, before I get started in this video, go ahead and do all the good things. Subscribe, like the video, share the video, comment on the video. Visit my blog, corysong.blogspot.com, and read my new ebook. It is called I Have Done Enough, and it is up on my blog, and it is totally free. This episode, like I said, is going to be a recap over the episode of Unsung about Vesta. I'm trying to speak a little bit louder on the videos because I noticed that I'm not speaking so loud. So I'm trying to speak a little bit louder, which is unusual for me, so I might sound crazy, but work with me, okay, people? And let me try not to look down as much, too, because when I look away, I lose some audio as well. So I got my notes here, and I'm going to try to get through this really quickly, I guess. Well, quick enough. I'm going to do the best video I can. Let's say that. Okay. I don't know. Vesta Williams. So, ooh, wrinkly, huh? Vesta Williams. This episode is about Vesta Williams. And this is one of my favorite episodes of Unsung. I love this episode because I love Vesta. I never heard of her before this episode of Unsung. I think her episode and the DeBarge episode are my favorite two episodes of Unsung. Yeah, but I never heard of her before I watched this episode of Unsung, and when I saw it, I was in love with her. She is an amazing singer. She's literally one of the best singers to ever live. She was amazing. I heard the song Special on there by her on this episode of Unsung. When I first heard that song, I went and found that song. I played that song for days. She is an amazing singer. She is one of the best singers to ever live. And if anybody's unsung, she is definitely unsung because she's an incredible singer. So yeah, I'm just going to get right into it. She was born in Ohio. She's Vesta. Born in Ohio. She started singing when she was really young. She wanted to sing her cousin. I forget his name, but he had a band when she was a kid, and they would practice in the basement. I'm not sure if it was at her house or at her cousin's house. It was at somebody's basement, her cousin. They would they would practice there, and she wanted to sing with them, and they finally let her sing with them, and then she ended up being in the band, and because she was an amazing singer, and so then they started to go around the city and perform at little clubs around the city and stuff like that. She did that while she was in high school, throughout high school. And then also while she was in high school, she started, her and the band, they started going to the recording studio sometimes, and then she learned how to write songs and create melodies to write songs and stuff like that. And she learned about the recording process when she was in high school. Alright, so her family moved actually to California when she was a teenager, but she stayed back behind. Her grandmother was still there. She lived with her grandmother, and I guess she still performed with the band and stuff like that. She was also dating one of the members of the band. He was the guitar player, the bass player. So yeah, she stayed there for those reasons. She ended up getting pregnant and by this guy that was in the band, but they didn't get along so well after a while, and she wanted to break up with him, so she left for California where her mother and her sisters and stuff, where her other family was. He followed her there. She was pregnant, so the family wanted her to marry him, but she was refusing to marry him. They eventually got her to talk them into getting married because they were having a child, so she married this guy, and then she had her child, so then she started trying to live a family life. She still wanted to go out and try to sing, so she would go out on auditions, and the marriage didn't work out. They got divorced after 8 months, they said. It only lasted. So she was still going out on auditions, and she was mainly focused on music. So she wasn't focused on the family like that. She was trying to get into auditions. She started getting some gigs. She worked with this guy named Robert Townsend, who was in a group. I didn't write the name of that group down, but he had his own thing, Wild Honey. So she became somebody in the Wild Honey group, and then she started. After she got into Wild Honey, she got into singing background for Shaka Khan, and after Shaka Khan, everything started happening for her. She started singing background for a whole bunch of different people. They said Gladys Knight, Anita Baker, Jermaine Jackson, Sting, Bobby Womack, and a whole bunch of other people. Alright, so then she auditioned for this like jazz ensemble, the Crusaders, and she became the lead singer of the Crusaders. And this is so. Excuse me. She became the lead singer of the Crusaders. They've started touring across the world and stuff. When she came back, this record label A&M was interested in signing her. One of the executives wanted to start a girl group. He wanted Vesta to be lead singer of the girl group. Vesta was not interested in being in the girl group. She wanted to be a solo artist, and so she was refusing to do it. Motown wanted to sign her as well, so it was a bidding war at that point. And so A&M came back and said that they would sign her as a solo artist, like she requested. And so then she started recording for A&M Records, and she released her first album, and it was self-titled. She had some hits on that album. She started touring, and she was famous in the R&B world. What else? My notes, what they say. So she released the album, she started touring, and she was the opening act for some other famous R&B artists. And she said in the episode of Unsung that some of the artists were a little bit jealous of her as the opening act because she was really a good opening act, and she is an amazing singer, like I said earlier, and she's sorry, there's some noise in the back. An amazing performer as well. Like she's very energetic as a performer. So I could see that some of them might not have liked that. She apparently didn't leave the audience wanting the main person to be there. Like the main person to come on the stage, they just wanted more of her. So she ran into some trouble with that. But she continued to tour with the people, and they kind of treated her badly, she said. And also, she was having problems with the management and the people at the record company and the tour and stuff, taking her money, she said. So that's a common thread throughout all of music, I guess, that the artists, when they start off, they don't make any money. So she was experiencing that as well. So she came back and she did her second album, which was called For You. I think that was the name of the second album, For You. And she took more control creatively over this album. She wanted to work with this certain producer, producer that she had worked with before, but she was a woman, and so they didn't want women to produce at that time. But Vesta fought for her to produce some of the songs on her album because she liked working with her, and she said she wasn't going to record until she was able to work with her. So they allowed her to work with her, and then they had one of her biggest hits from that. So she wrote on that, Vesta and this producer, on that album, and produced it and stuff like that. But what was I saying? Yeah. She was having trouble with the label. Yeah, so she was having trouble creatively. They didn't want her to write and produce, they didn't want to listen to who she wanted to be on there. They were taking her money, and then they didn't want to promote the album to the pop audiences. the songs were doing pretty well, like they could have crossed over. Like the one song that they were speaking about that could have crossed over was called "Sweet Sweet Love," which is a great song as well. I love that song, and it's um, she sounds really good on that song. And it's very it's kind of catchy. So they thought it could do well in pop, but they didn't want to promote it. So she was having a lot of trouble with the record label. They were having differences, creative differences, let's say. So this caused her to have some depression, and she started using drugs when she was in the band, in the group back when she was a child, like when she was a teenager. And so she started using it more heavily once she became a recording artist, and she started getting a little fame and money and stuff like that. And to add on to it, she had these problems with the record label where she felt misunderstood creatively. So she was turning to drugs, and she was gaining weight as a result of it. Like she said, she would go on binges, and then she would eat a whole bunch, and so she gained weight. She was doing drugs, and as a result, she was being aggressive and had mood swings and stuff. And she was very demanding, and she was perceived as a diva, and some people didn't want to work with her during that time. Blah 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 blah. I keep saying a whole bunch. So I said it again. So after that second album and all the difficulties, it did pretty well, and then they went to recording her third album, which had the single "Special" on it, which was very big for her. But she was still had gained weight. Oh my goodness, my arm hurts so much right now. I don't know why. She had gained some weight, and she was still having trouble with the record label, and they didn't know what they wanted to do with her, and they didn't like she had gained so much weight, and they were trying to hide her weight on the videos and stuff. Yeah. And then they tried to make her New Jack Swing. New Jack Swing was coming in. It was the beginning of the 90s by this time. So New Jack Swing was the sound that was very popular. So they wanted to make her sound like everybody else. But she wasn't. She had this big, huge voice. So, she wasn't used to singing that way, and it wasn't fitting her, and it wasn't her next album that included a whole bunch of New Jack Swing. It didn't do so well. They ended up dropping her from the label because of this, and then she kind of fell off and was like into obscurity, and she was battling a lot of demons and going through a lot of hardships during the 90s. She says that she was using drugs heavily. She said she was going through different relationships. Then she tried to, she wasn't getting it. She didn't have a record deal. She couldn't get another record deal, so she started like doing background singing and trying to get her songs. She tried to do songwriting, tried to get her songs on people's albums and stuff. So then she decided that she needed a break, so she started going to church. Then she got off of cocaine. Then she lost a whole bunch of weight. Then she started, I'm like doing a step by step. She started giving people music lessons. She started singing background for other people. Again, I don't know why I'm stumbling so much. And she started getting into commercials, acting. She started hosting a radio show, so things were looking up for her. This is at the end of the 90s. So then people actually started calling her back up to sing again. So she started going on tour, and then she started releasing albums on a smaller scale throughout the 2000s and stuff. But then it just dried up. It dried up for a couple of years, so she was depressed. So she would go through heights, and then it would drop off, and she would get depressed and all this type of stuff. But yeah, so during the episode of Unsung, which was aired in 2011, they said that while they were taping that, she was recording new music, but she ended up passing away. Actually, they were able to finish that episode of Unsung. It was crazy. She passed away shortly after they did the episode of Unsung, and she was only 53 years old. So it was said that she had like a heart attack or something, like hypertension, high blood pressure. So yeah, it was really sad when I first saw that episode. It was like, dang, she died like right after they finished it. At least I'm glad that they were able to put together the episode, because I learned about it and I love her. Like, she's amazing. She needs to be known a lot more still. Still, even after this episode of Unsung, because she's an incredible singer. Like, she sounds like Shaka Khan's twin or something. Like, she's an incredible singer. So there you have it. I'm Cory Ballad. This was the episode of Unsung about Vesta Williams. I'll be back again with another video. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe, comment. Visit my blog, corysong.blogspot.com. I'll be back. I'm out of here. Let me do my outro. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do.